This is the DEI newsletter, and we try to spotlight diverse individuals on campus. So, what communities are you comfortable identifying with, and are you comfortable with us mentioning it in your piece?
Sure. So, I am part of the queer and trans communities. I am somebody who is multiracial. I am South Asian and white. I am a first generation college student. I am neurospicy, a lot of different intersecting identities, and all of those are fine to mention for the piece.
Okay, thank you. Can you briefly introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Jules Purnell. My pronouns are they, them. I am the Title IX training specialist here at UMass, and I work in equal opportunity and access.
Cool. Have you worked with the Manning College of Information and Computer Sciences at UMass Amherst?
Yeah, I've provided trainings, I think a couple of times now, but really that's the primary function of my role on campus is to provide training and educational opportunities. So at some point I've worked with almost everybody on campus.
Right, and how was that experience for you?
It's really been good. I feel like people are very thirsty for this information and knowledge right now, so it makes my job easy. But especially I think for people who work in any kind of field related to STEM, these topics are something that's very important right now. So it's been good conversations.
That's good. Statistics show that in the tech industry, women and non-binary people face more barriers to promotion and career growth than other industries.
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, how does the vulnerability of some communities matter in an already inequitable world of technology?
It's really interesting because we all use technology.
Yeah.
Everybody uses it, so it's such a fundamental thing. And traditionally, people who have been underserved and underrepresented have really been the key figures to drive these technologies. So while a lot of this work is being done by people who are part of these minoritized populations, they're not always who we mainly think of as being part of STEM. We oftentimes think of white cisgender heterosexual men, for example, because they're oftentimes the ones who are in leadership positions or who are more visible. So for me, I think it's really important to recognize that people have always been doing this work in these fields, but just not really getting the representation or the accolades they deserve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is the importance of acknowledging various intersectionalities of an individual's identity?
I think that there are so many ways in which we don't live these single issue lives. There's so many parts of us that are not just this one thing or just this other thing. There's so many parts of the human experience that come together and shape these really unique experiences of who we all are. And so I think it's impossible for us to expect any one person to just walk in the room as their racialized self, mm-hmm. or their gendered self, or just this one aspect of who they are. So I think that's where the concept of intersectionality gets really, it's very important, and I think it's a concept that's misunderstood a lot of the time too. This is a topic that I've taught incorrectly before. It's this idea that you just layer on identities. And that's really not what intersectionality is about. It's about this intersection of identities creating a whole new identity. So it's not just about being Black and a woman. It's the intersection of Blackness and womanness creates a whole new identity. So I think the more that we understand that aspect of intersectionality, the more that it creates just a richer understanding of who we all are as people.
Mm-hmm. That's a really empowering definition of intersectionality.
It's not me, that's Kimberly Crenshaw.
As a sexuality educator focusing on sexual violence prevention and response, and as a Title IX training specialist, what are some of the challenges you face at your job?
I think that we have come into a place where we think we're sort of post Me Too, that, we had this moment, but that everything's fine now. It's mm-hmm. almost like when Obama was elected president, it's like, we're in this post-racial America, which is completely ridiculous. If anything, we've seen more of a backlash, I think, in terms of race since the Obama administration. And I think that we're just starting to understand and scratch the surface of how sexual violence, sexual harassment, intimate partner violence, gender-based discrimination, how all these things touch every person's life. And when we understand that we all have skin in the game, we all have a stake in this, I think that's really when we're going to see more change happen. But I think especially when these subjects get framed as just, women's issues or they only impact a certain portion of the population, that's where it becomes deprioritized. And so I think when everybody sees that this is something I have a stake in, this is something that matters to me for the betterment of my own personhood, just as, racism should matter to every person, whether they experience anti-Black violence or whatever it is, every single person should have a stake in this. So I think that's one of the things that I've seen it yet shift into that every single person should care about this because it impacts us all.
Mm-hmm. And what's the best part about your job here at UMass, to end on a lighter note?
I love living in a world of ideas. I love being on an academic campus. I love the fact that there are people that are just getting switched on to these ideas for the first time, whether they're new students or they are seasoned academics or whatever the case is. I love being in a learning space where I can see somebody kind of, oh, this idea is just clicking into place for them. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning and makes me really excited to educate, period. But especially about these subjects, I care really passionately about this. And so getting an entire job where I just get to tell people why I care about this and why they should too it just feels like my life's purpose.
That's great. Thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing your wise words for our Sexual Assault Awareness Month feature.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to the conversation. I appreciate it.
Thank you.